You're listening to Midlife Side Quest, the Over the Hill Gaming Podcast. Here's your host, John Wall.
Welcome to Midlife Side Quest Game of the Year Edition, an entire week of episodes discussing the best games of 2022. Each day, we've been counting down my top 5 games of the year, as well as giving out some other honors and accolades for the video games that have kept us all entertained. If you haven't yet subscribed to the show, please take a moment to do so. I would also love to hear your feedback, which you can do by leaving a review wherever you're listening to today's episode. Also, if you would like to chat, you can find me on Twitter or Hive at MidlifeSQ. So, on a previous episode, I mentioned that I don't put much stock in New Year's resolutions. I think it's mostly just a way for you to post something on social media and feel better about yourself. If you really want to make a positive change in your life, make that change. And there are things that I would like to improve upon in 2023. During these Game of the Year episodes, you've heard me name off some of the other things that I've enjoyed this past year. My favorite movies, albums, TV shows. But what I haven't listed are any books. Because, to be honest, it's been a while since I've read anything. Like anything. I used to read a decent amount. I enjoyed thrillers, fantasy, and science books. I used to love reading about evolution, quantum theory, and other scientific topics. I know, I'm a nerd. But then I got into content creation, and that took up a considerable amount of what free time I had. When I started Midlife Side Quest, I mentioned that I needed to do something that I could schedule around my life and not the other way around. And having that extra time has been great, and it means I think I can get back into reading again. So last weekend, I bought an e-reader because, like all other forms of entertainment, I'm going all digital. I seriously don't need to try and find room for a ton more books in my house. So I've already downloaded a couple of books, and I would really love to hear some suggestions, either from, the genres that I mentioned or anything else that's good. So let me know what you've been reading and enjoying lately. I'm excited to get back into it. On each episode this week, we have started off by passing out a pair of awards to recognize games that didn't make my top 5, but were fantastic nonetheless. And today's first award is for Best Game That I Hope You Don't Ask Me What It Was About. You like that? That took me a while to come up with a name for that. But it's basically the award for the game that I loved, but was so confusing or nonsensical that I have no idea what I was actually doing in it. And nobody earned this award more than Elden Ring. I liked Elden Ring. I think I really liked Elden Ring. I put somewhere between 50 or 60 hours into the game, and while I didn't finish it, I was happy with my experience and time with the game. Who did I play as? The Tarnished. What does that mean? I have no idea. What was the plot? No clue. Why was I doing what I was doing in the game? I think I remember something about something breaking, and I had to put it back together again, or that could be the Lego set I just built. I don't know. But I've never spent so much time in a game with such a nonsensical story, which I guess speaks to how good everything else is in the game that I enjoyed it so much and spent so much time with it. Next is the award for the best Zen moment, which goes to Vampire Survivor. If you've played that game, then you know what I'm talking about. When you reach that end of the level and you've upgraded the right combination of weapons, and all of a sudden you have this whirlwind of death swirling all about you, destroying any creature foolish enough to get close, and you don't even need to move if you don't want to. Just put the controller down. Grab your Tostito scoops and get some salsa and just watch as your overpowered monstrosity takes care of the rest. It's definitely one of the coolest gaming moments in 2022, and it is so satisfying to watch. That brings us to the number 2 game on my list of the top games of 2022. And I believe it's the first game on this list that I have yet to discuss on a previous episode of SideQuest, because it came out back in August, which is before the first episode. And that game is Tinykin. It would be pretty easy when people ask, what is Tinykin? To simply say, well, it's Pikmin, because it kind of is. You play as an astronaut named Milo, who crash lands on Earth, and by enlisting the help of these little creatures called Tinykin, you must find the pieces he needs to build a ship and get back home. Yeah, it's Pikmin. But it's a really, really good Pikmin game, and by simply labeling it as a copycat would be a disservice to the things that it does so well to improve on that formula. First of all are the Tinykin themselves, who have really cool abilities like building bridges and ladders and conducting electricity and exploding. They're way more fun to use than the Pikmin, and you can use them in really creative ways. And the game does a great job also with the controls to make managing your tiny little army easy and intuitive. Then there's the world that you play in. The entire game takes place within the rooms of a single home. One level might be in the bathroom, while another is in the bedroom, and each room is populated with cute little bugs whom you talk to and you do missions for. Ants and beetles and all manner of critter who are funny and helpful. Third is the art style, which I really dug. It's a fun, animated style of design, but each character is flat, like in a Paper Mario kind of way. It's a simple aesthetic, but it works really well. And the rooms all have this impressive sense of scale that is super fun to explore. Yes, it takes massive inspiration from Nintendo's classic series, but it does enough differently that it feels unique at the same time. And quite frankly, Nintendo doesn't make enough Pikmin games, so I will gladly enjoy this game, while they work on whatever they're doing next. Heck, in a lot of ways, I think Tinykin is even better than Pikmin. I'm not the kind of guy who goes for platinum trophies or 100% games, but I did it with Tinykin because it was just so endlessly fun to play. Seriously. Do not sleep on this little gem. It is absolutely one of the best games of the year. "2022 featured more than just great video games. So on each episode this week, I am going to tell you about one of my favorite things of the year that is not a video game. And today I'm starting things off with a cool gadget that I got this past summer. It is called the Meter Wireless Thermometer, and it has 100% improved my grilling game. I'm not a professional chef or even like a great one. I can follow a recipe, just fine, and it turns out good. But grilling's always been a bit tricky for me, like using your thumb to know when something's done. I always end up overcooking things. Well, this thing has made sure every single thing I grill is cooked to exactly the temp I want it. You just download the app, select the meat you're grilling and the wellness you want it to be, and then insert the probe into the meat, which connects to your phone via Bluetooth. You then can watch the progress of the meat cooking and see a timer which shows you when it's expected to be done. It sounds an alert on your phone for when you need to take it off the heat and then how long it should rest. And from lamb chops to steaks, everything I've grilled this year has turned out fabulous. Seriously, I love this thing. The Meter Wireless Thermometer. I'm going to cheat on the next one and do a variety pack of shows for the price of one. I talked last episode about how much I love superhero movies and the MCU in particular. And while I think these shows were a little hit or miss with some critics, I loved the Marvel shows that debuted on Disney Plus this year. Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel, and She-Hulk all brought fun new characters to the MCU that maybe weren't major players in the jigsaw puzzle that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but that was also part of what I enjoyed about them. Moon Knight brought a horror-tinged vibe while exploring a more supernatural side of this world. Ms. Marvel is perhaps my favorite new character with loads of charm and a great family dynamic, and She-Hulk was clever and funny and featured one of the best season finales I've seen all year. I'd love to see them explore these smaller corners of the Marvel Universe, and I'm super excited to see where they go next. Thank you so much for listening to Midlife Side Quest. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for part 5 of our Game of the Year coverage with our number 1 game of 2022. And then you can catch new episodes every Thursday morning wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review. And you can follow the show on Twitter or Hive, where we go by Midlife SQ. Until next time, be well and keep playing.